Haga, on a note from Tzemach Tzedek, V'hine Yehonathan. Now he's called Yehonathan. Ufi'amim nikra Yonathan, and that sometimes he's called Yonathan without a hay. V'kasav b'tafhei daled Trumas Hadeshen, maybe Siman Reish Lamed Gimel. Ub'shem Yehonathan the Kedakti b'Sefer Shmuel. So the name Yehonathan I scrutinized in the book of Shmuel. Yehonathan ben Shaul, that Yehonathan the son of Shaul, the Me'az Shekaras Habrisim David, that from the time he made the covenant with David, Nichta b'chol makom Yehonathan. He's always written then Yehonathan with a hey. And before that, in most of the places, he's called Yonathan without a hey. That's the end of his quote. And the concept is the that we find something similar with Yosef as well. Yesh Yosef, there's a added hey in Yosef's name. Yosef Samo be'eretz Mitzrayim, Edus b'Yosef Samo. A testimony in Yosef as he's placed. V'chasav b'me'orei or Yud Mem Yosef Chulu. And it says in Me'orei or about Yosef, Hey Ilah, Itosefes Bey, that an extra hey, supernal hey of Hashem's name is added into him. She Ayin Ravrava, which is the great Ayin from Shema, which is known as the concept of the seven midos as they are in Bina. Klulim me'eser. Zeu Bina v'imkin ma yisron. If so, what's this greatness? Elazeu al derech Avram Avraham. But this is similar to the change of Avram's name to Avraham with a hey, Kemushkaz b'Torah or Reish Parshas Lech Lecha, Hu da Atika. That the concept of who of Bina that's not known, that's Atik. The Atik in Bina. Valderech Zeh Keshekaras Yonathan Habrisim David. And similarly, when the covenant with Yonathan was made with David, Sheyehiyeh Hashpa Misod b'Malchus, in order to have the flow from Yisod into Malchus, from Yonathan to David, and Tosef Bohei Bina is added into him, the Hey of Bina, Ki Be'atarash Itro Elohimo B'yom Chasun Aso, because of the crown that his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding. Dafka specifically, that refers to the Keser as it is from Bina, the crown of the mother. Vinyan David Yesh Boshne Dalsin, the concept of David, you have two Dalids. So I guess that's Keser Malchus, if you're giving that crown to the king. So Yonathan was making David king by giving the crown that he had to Kamo B'Shem Havaya. So now David has two Dalids, and just like in Hashem's name, Vav Mechaber Shnei Ha'ein, the Vav unites the two Hays, Kamo Shkazu B'Raya Mehemna Parshas Kisisa, Kach David Vav Mechaber Shnei Dalsin. So too with David, the Vav unites the two Dalids, Ki ha'afresh ben dalad lehei, and because the difference between the dalad and the hey, shekodem hayichud nikra dalad, that before the union it's called dalad, that it's like from the language of a pauper, that it's lacking, it does not yet have the union. Kamoshikos varamaz rish parshas vayikra gabe ha'imek she'ala. Those hey basra, like the Ramaz says in Vayikra about the pasuk in Yeshayahu, the depth of Sheol. That's that's the letter Hey Basra, the last Hey of Hashem's name. Meaning to say, it's the valley that's lacking. It doesn't have the hashpa. We can say according to this in Yen David, the concept of David, who in Malchus Tatzilus, Hamislabeshes B'Malchus Tebriya, Malchus of Atzilus, as it's included in Malchus of Bria, al yidei havav, through the vav shisha heichalos de Bria, which are the 6 palaces of Bria. It's the vav in David unites him with the heichalos of Bria. Maybe the two Dalids, one is the Malchus of Atzilus and one is the Malchus of Bria. That you have the first Malchus, and then you have the Vav that's Mechaber, and then you have the second Malchus of the Olam HaBria. Maybe. Minu Beis Dals in Vav, and that's what he says here. Those are the two Dalids with the Vav. Gam Yishlomar. We can also say Beis Dalsos, that the two Dalids are two doors. Al Derech Lishkod Al Dalsos, like the pasuk to be diligent on my doors. In general, it's a pasuk about going to shul and doing it regularly. But the two dalids are like the doors. Gambes dalson, but also it could be a concept of opening for hashpa, to give down flow. Gambes dalson echad melashon anius ubeis melashon dalu enai lemarom. So you could have two concepts in dalid. One means lowliness and poverty, and the second meaning is from the language of my eyes lifted to the heavens. So it means to lift up. And so this is one of the words that means itself and its opposite. Like the higher concept of Shechina and the lower concept of Shechina. And that which unites them, which is the Vav. But this union is not, this connection is not the union. So the Vav is not the real union, but rather it's that Hashem prepared this side, Hashem prepared Chava for Adam to be prepared for the union. Like the concept of the city, that they're all joined together. These chabras ima bebarta, that the mother unites with the daughter. So I guess bina with malchus. Similarly, I guess you'd have the two dalids meaning something similar. The shechintai law would be like bina, and the shechinta tata like malchus. So to unite them is the vav in between, but it's not. He's saying it's not the real union, because I guess the union with Bina and Malchus is not the same as Iman Abba or Zon Nutfa, I guess. I'm not sure. So that's the end of the quote. So I'm not sure exactly the concept of why he brings the Maimer Adnai Sfosai Tiftach, although it's known that Adnai is Gematria Shechina, where it corresponds with the Shechina. It's Gematria Heichal, something like that. And the opening, I guess it's like opening the doors. And it has there the concept of David, if you look in the Maimer, I guess, or something to do with that. Now we can explain this that Yehonathan said to David, which is the concept of Malchus of Bria. That tomorrow is the new moon and you'll be remembered, because your place will be empty, or your place will be remembered. Now the concept of that Yisrael counts in accordance with the moon. Shehi bechinas malchus, which is the concept of malchus. Hainu al shem bechinas habitl. It's the concept of nullification. Like the renewal of the moon when it's small. Vainu masha amru. And this is what it says in the Zohar, the ihu benetzach, the ihi behod, that he is in netzach and she is in hod. The hod being a concept of acknowledgement and bittul. And to preface the explanation of this with one concept, anizkar, be'etz chaim ubezohar bekama duchti, shebemidos tavka haya bechinas hashvira, that the breaking of the vessels was specifically in the emotional attributes in spheros. Ubemalchus lo haya shvira, and in Malchus itself there was not a breaking, but only it was nullified alone. Like the statement, like the statement in the Zohar, that the land was nullified. Now the root of the concept of the breaking of the vessels in the emotional attributes, it comes from the concept of the 7 first kings of the world of Tohu, that it says in that about them, that they became king and then they died. And the first king of these kings is Bela, the son of Beor, Shuhu Bechinas Hadas, which is the concept of Das. V'achrav Bechinas HaChesed Chulu, and then is the concept of kindness. Ad Baal Chanan ben Achbor, until you get to Baal Chanan ben Achbor, Shu Bechinas Yisod, which is the concept of Yisod. So you have these, the 7 kings starts from Das, and until you get to the last one, who's Yisod. That's 7 of them. Acharav Malach Melech Hashmini Hadar, and then the 8th one became king, and his name is Hadar. And the concept of the 8th one is not the Shvira, but rather the Tikkun. That's Hadar. V'hine hatam l'sibas hashvira b'zayin malachim d'tohu. So it's 7 kings. It's not 8 kings that have the shvira. It's 7 kings. Now the reason for the breaking of the shvira with the 7 kings of Tohu, you do it's known, it's because they had a feeling of existence and coarseness a little, like the statement, I will be king. Like it's explained this in another place, and for this reason, when they fell down below into the world of Bria, now it became a complete existence. Like the concept of love, that the feeling of love comes in a complete feeling of self. I guess because you are the opposite of fear, that you nullify yourself, whereas love, you sort of speak, come into your own and you are not afraid of it and don't shrink back. It's the opposite tnua, the opposite movement. It's instead of feeling less, you feel more. On the other hand, he says, the fear in the heart is you also feel yourself. So that's not exactly so. Both strong feelings are when you feel yourself. When you feel afraid, you're feeling afraid for yourself. And the reason you feel yourself is because of the concept of das, that makes the intellectual concept personal. That it makes it a feeling, so that you feel yourself. And this is the root of the 7 bad emotional attributes that come from the emotional attributes, like anger or bad desire, and as is known that the opposite of bittul causes these bad attributes. Because you feel haughty, you get angry or desire and think things and feel entitled to things and desires, and less than others. And however, he calls it b'midus. All of this is in emotion specifically. Aval bebechinas malchus lo haya bechinas shvira klal, but in the concept of malchus there was no breaking at all. Because that the concept of malchus is bittul. It's the opposite of yesh. It's not a concept of a felt self. Kol kach as much. Because that's the nature of malchus, to be in a nullified state. B'mesius, in its existence. Just like fear in front of the king who bittul yesh, its nullification of the existence. That everybody bows down in front of him. And for this reason, it states the ara ispatalos, that the earth was nullified, meaning to say that only the light was no longer spread out alone. But not that there was a lessening of the actual attribute itself. Because it itself was not in a state of existence. Although the fact that everyone bows down to the king, that implies the king himself is high and exalted. Although I guess he's concentrating on the concept of the bowing down, that the concept of the king is bittul and bowing down. Because even when the malchus was, so to speak, on its own, together with the 7 kings, it was not considered as an existence and something for itself, but rather was included in each one of them, like it says that each one, that he became king. That's the malchus of that midah. And as is known, that even in the malchus itself of Atzilus, its main building is from the malchus of each one of the 10 spheros of Ziranpin. Like it says in another place, the concept of the building of malchus for Rosh Hashanah and through Sesame Tshuva and Yom Kippur, as is known. Well, the Tamzeh, and for this reason, Yesh Maila b'midas malchus, there's a greatness to the attribute of malchus, Masha Enkin b'chol ha-spheros, which is not in all the other spheros, the Hagam she b'chinas yesh, that even when it is a state of self, even meaning to say, even when it's high and exalted, even when it's in its highest state, not its lowly state, nonetheless, that's its attribute, to be in the state of nullification. And it includes within itself these two opposites together of bittul and exaltedness. Like it's explained in another place. That's the concept of the king, high and exalted, and also nullified to the people. וזה הטעם יסתייפו ממנה הנבראים יש מאין, and therefore the creations will come from it as well, something from nothing, gamkin b'emtzos bezhofchim alalu, also through these two opposites, yesh v'ayin, something and nothing, yachad, together. That's how you get something from nothing, is you have a state that has something and nothing together. וזה הטעם יסתייפו ממנה הנבראים יש מאין gamkin באמצעות בהופכים הללו יש מאין יחד כי הלא אנו רואים, because we see שיש בכל נברא בחינס הביטל במציאות, that each one of the creations, all of the creations, are in a complete state of nullification, וכמו שכתוב וצבוע השמיים לך משתחווים, like it says that the hosts of heaven bow down to you, ואף על פי כן הוא בחינס יש ודבר בפני עצמו, but nonetheless there's something in existence for themselves. כי יש פה מבחינס ביטל היש מצד מקור חוצבו, because it has a state of nullification in existence because of its source, that where it's carved out of. That the malachim have a state of bittul because where they come from, nonetheless they have an existence as an angel that bows down. Malchus to move delas, but mylazos misharas spheros, and that's the concept. Where does it come from? Where do these creations that have this bittul in them, that they come from Malchus, that has this greatness, misharas spheros, that's different from the other spheros, mitamanal, from the reason we explained. And the reason is because there was not a complete breaking and falling down of Malchus, only that the earth was, so to speak, nullified. Which is not the case with the emotional attributes, that they had this breaking, that when they fell, naflu legamre, they fell completely, in an existence that's separate, gamor, completely, that are like anger and desire and the like. And for this reason, that in Malchus there was only a state of nullification. That's why they've said that she is in Hod, Behodo, Bittul Dafka, with an acknowledgement and nullification specifically, like it says by Yehuda, now I will acknowledge. Look what it says in Torah, or about you should take from yourselves truma. Trei mimea, it's a concept of malchus. 2 out of 100. Look what it says in the Maamar, how about by Shemitah, that the land should rest, and that's where it brings this concept that the earth will be nullified.